Hi guys, I'm back again. I just wanted to close this case out and give you an update on the case with Chandler Kryst, Cheslie Kryst's younger brother, and Mia Hood, which is and was Miss Philippines USA. She is a girl that he was actually romantically involved in. And the update for this case is that those domestic violence DV charges, misdemeanor charges that we were talking about, have been dismissed. They have been dropped. That means the prosecutor looked at this case in its entirety and determined that they did not have sufficient evidence to proceed with a domestic violence. They determined that the evidence showed there was some issues with her allegations. So with that being said, the statement that Chandler provided has credibility, that this woman, I believe, had an unhealthy obsession with Chandler. She was a contributing factor to whatever toxicity was going on in that relationship, and we don't know what happened before we got to the video. There was some type of violent argument that happened inside to where he did not want her near him, and he was trying to, keep her away. Does that excuse him putting his hands on her? No. But as mentioned, there is a complete story that we were not seeing. And based upon Chandler's side and based upon the court of law, which has dismissed her charges, these charges that they had, his side is showing credibility that in this case, this woman, there was some toxicity going on between them that happened before the video was starting to be recorded. Again, this also shows that the witnesses that were there did not know the context of the situation. They only saw the aftermath of him trying to get her away from him, but we don't know what she was doing. Another thing that I feel why there is some toxicity on her side is that when he was arrested, because he was arrested and he was booked April 5th, she had his phone, she had his property in that house. While he was arrested, he did not have access to his cell phone or any of that stuff. So it corroborates what he said, that she had access to his credit cards, his social media, all of that. And while he was in custody, she went and got access to his social media, posted that video that we saw on his page, which was not from him, posted the donation, and then put, "This is a real DV." Another thing was kind of odd is that she had all her friends kind of in on it, posting repeatedly throughout her different stories. I don't know, I've seen over 20 different stories with that same video, telling people to blast it all over, tagging anyone that is associated with Chandler's career, NBC, the courtship, anywhere, to tarnish this man's career, tarnish his reputation. I am in no way at all supporting domestic violence. I do not support a man putting his hands on a woman, nor did I support a woman putting her hands on a man. But what I don't agree with is him maliciously tarnishing, allegedly, the reputation of someone to destroy their future. And that is what she has done. This is unacceptable. She's also, said that he has mental health issues, but is seeming to show that based on her conduct of trying to, tarnish his name, trying to do everything maliciously to get back at this man for whatever reason. We don't know. We don't know if he said he wanted to break up with her, but something happened in that house before we got to the video that we were watching. And based upon the totality of the circumstances, the prosecutor, and I know this as being a prosecutor, I used to prosecute DV cases when I was a prosecutor. That was my specialty. And if their evidence is weak and it's showing to the other side that there was something else going on, and in fact, she is the aggressor, which is what he was saying in his post, then they're not going to proceed. And based upon what he was saying is that she was the one that was being abusive towards him, that she was, she took a hold of his credit cards, which is corroborated by the fact that he was in custody at the time when there was an allegation that she was the one that was being abusive. Another thing that we saw is that the officers did not give the emergency protective order, which I talked about before, is that when they do feel that someone is truly in danger and they have determined credibility that this person is the victim and the other person is the aggressor, then they will give that emergency protective order. I saw that as an issue that they didn't impose it initially. And now we're seeing the aftermath of what Chandler has said. So it's showing credibility towards his statements that, the charges were in fact dismissed. And also the fact that she's been trying to do everything in her power to tarnish this man's reputation when we don't know actually what's going on. So I'm coming back to go over her statements. It is in the story, guys, and I'll show you the story just so you know I'm not making this stuff up. I wrote it. but I just screenshotted it because, you know, we had an issue with it last time. So that's her statement there. And, you know, this is her other statement here. And I just screenshotted it because I didn't want to keep waiting for it to, you know, change. So this is exactly from her. And I'm just frustrated because I don't tolerate any type of violence in any way, putting your hands on a woman or man. But what I don't like is when someone lies on someone's credibility, slanders someone, tries to destroy someone maliciously. I do not like that at all. And I think that's what she was trying to do and is intentionally still trying to do based upon her statement here. And so I'm going to go ahead and read it. She said the charges were indeed dropped. Here it's kind of covered up, but I read it on my phone and it does say the charges were indeed dropped. It is well known that there were many flaws in the justice system in this country. Okay, yes, there is. I agree with that. But as a prosecutor, we have a certain standard. I'm not a prosecutor anymore, but when I was a prosecutor, I prosecuted cases for 3 years. And we have a certain standard. We have to prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt. One of the most difficult cases for a prosecutor is domestic violence cases. It is. And so we have to be able to have sufficient evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt and be able to convince a jury of 12 that this person is in fact a victim of domestic violence. They immediately saw this case and dropped it within a matter of days. It's only Saturday, and this case was dropped probably yesterday because she posted this 18 hours ago. So they had that hearing on April 6th was Wednesday, and 2 days later, the prosecutor dropped the case. So clearly there was enough evidence for them to say this is not sufficient for us to proceed. Clearly Chandler's statement that she was the aggressor previously is coming to show validity. And so let's continue to read this. But she says, when I was asked if I wanted to press charges the night of the attack, I said no, because naturally I am in shock and cannot think clearly in that state of mind. I did not have an EPO offered to me right then and there when I should have. Time went by, and after the presentation in court included having no evidence of DV, I was unaware of the limited amount of time I had to come forward presenting my evidence. Okay, that part isn't true. So basically, when someone gets a call, when officers get the call, they come out there and they take the statement of everyone there. So they take the statement of the victim, the alleged victim. They take the statement of the suspect, alleged suspect. They take the statement of anyone who is there at the scene. So that is the initial evidence that is presented to the prosecutor. They read that report, they look at the statements, they look at any photographs that they have, and then they make a determination based upon the law, whether they can prove that case beyond a reasonable doubt in front of a jury. So at that time, she didn't have to come to court to present any evidence. At that time, that was an initial arraignment. So they would have, when he was in custody, they had within a matter of hours to get him into the courtroom, to file the charges, to get him into the courtroom, because he has a constitutional right basically to not, be restrained without immediate hearing. So when they went to court and they had that immediate hearing, the prosecutor, by the time she read that police report and talked to the officers, she determined, or he or she, because I don't know if it was he or she, they determined that there was not sufficient evidence. So her saying that I was unaware of the limited amount of time I had to come forward presenting my evidence, she should have presented that evidence to the officers. That's the time she presents the initial evidence. And then once the prosecutor determines, okay, we have enough to proceed, then they will go and do any follow-up statements that they need. So that part, she would have had already given that statement to the officers. She said, I'm still fighting and telling my story because I see the need for mental health professionals to be present when there is a domestic violence call. Individuals, the attacker and victim, are almost certainly have their own trauma responses. This is another reason I decided to go into the social work field, to advocate for others and use my voice. That's just what I am doing now for myself. I will still be fighting for justice, will not be silenced by all the hateful comments. As stated earlier, I do hope that he will seek mental health, professional health. I have been on my own journey with my own therapist throughout this hardship life has presented to me. So she also has a therapist that she's been seeing. So like I said, we said that we thought that there may be some mental health that she's going through. Well, she's just confirmed that she has been going through therapy herself. So again, there was toxicity in this relationship that we don't know about, but clearly it was on both sides. It wasn't just Chandler that was the aggressor in the situation. She said, I cannot stress how significant I cannot stress how significant facing your trauma is, whether it is my trauma or his trauma from Monday to any and all past traumas we both may have been having a reaction to without even being conscious of it. Mental health struggles and obstacles are real and are not to be seen as anything less than important. I write this with intention of helping and supporting those who are facing trauma. There is help available. There are resources available. There are people that do understand how trauma can impact reactions. I beg all of you to just be taking care of yourselves. And if any of you are struggling with your mental health, do not know what first step to take a deep breath and know that it's okay to be feeling how you're feeling. But there are, in fact, professionals who are more than willing to support you and share their knowledge on ways that will work for you and throughout your healing journey. So again, I do think there was toxicity on her part. She probably, who knows, could have been the one that destroyed the property in the video. What I don't think is acceptable, even though Chandler may have been emotionally, we don't know what she did that caused him to get that angry. And he said all the time, he said effing time. So it seems like there's been like this issue between them for a while, repeated issue that he was basically voicing in the video. However, it doesn't justify him in any way putting his hands on her. He should, and what she was doing when she was coming towards him, she wasn't trying to antagonize him. She was saying that she was trying to calm him down before the officers came. That's what her statement was, that she was trying to calm him down because she didn't want him to get arrested. That's what she said. And then when the officers came, she was trying to tell the officers that everything's okay, please don't arrest them, stuff like that. And then they separated them out and detained. So that was her statement. But with that being said, even in that situation, he should have not put his hands on her, because it made it appear based on this recording, because again, they got the recording after the incident happened in the house. We already know something violent went on in that house. Don't know who did it, what side was going on, but Chandler seems to give us some substance that this woman has been toxic towards him, and she has took control of his belongings, his personal identification, to tarnish his reputation. That's what his prior statement was that we have discussed on a previous video. So he has been dealing with toxicity with her too. But even in that situation, we talked about this with Will Smith, even if someone gets you to a point where you're angry, it doesn't mean that you result in violence, because all that did was get him in hot water where he was arrested. He had to now go to court and fight his case. And luckily it got dismissed quickly and he didn't have to worry about, this long, drawn out trial. Another issue too is why I think there is some toxicity on her part is because allegedly she kept one of his dogs. He says he had a dog. She kept the dog. She's keeping some of his items. And the officers have been talking to her to get Chandler's property back, but she is not providing that property back, even though the LAPD has been trying to get that back from her. I think that also bared in weight to the prosecutor to believe that, I think there is something wrong with this case, some weaknesses in this case. We believe she may be a problematic person in this case, because that was a part of it. The LAPD works in partnership with the prosecutor. So they're telling the prosecutor, this woman's keeping this man's property, that, that's how this incident arose. And that's why they ended up dismissing the case. Here is her other statement. She says that there are people harassing her. I hope that's none of my viewers. Guys, do not harass this poor woman. I don't know. I hope it's none of you guys, but someone's out there harassing her. And she says, I'm getting a lot of messages and screenshots of people I don't know messaging me. Please leave me alone. Sorry. Go back. Sorry. She said, I'm getting a lot of messages and screenshots of people I don't know messaging him. Sorry. So someone's messaging Chandler. She said, please leave him alone, Chandler alone. She said, I'm saying this because it's not going to help anything legally. I posted the video for my voice and my experience to be noticed and heard. I see he's defending himself in the messages, and if he wants to live with saying he is the victim, then let him. He's the one that has to live with his actions. I am filled with bravery, strength, and resilience. Those of you that know me know there's never been any hardship life has presented me with that I haven't overcome or moved forward from. The most important thing out of this is focusing on what is in control, which is showing that domestic violence is real and the system is flawed in helping those that experience it. That's why I am saying, as a professional social worker, mental health worker, to focus on what is in control. This means showing that sharing the love and support Sharing the love and support so many of you already have. I understand it's frustrating and makes so many people angry. If there is true concern and frustration y'all are feeling, message me with it, not him. I'm here to listen to and talk. Okay, so it looks like when she was posting all of these things, having all her friends post the stories, and she was reposting it in her stories, I guess it caused backlash and people were going to Chandler and they were harassing Chandler. So this is really, and the thing is, you guys, I know she's saying she doesn't want him to harass her, but when she did this and she did this campaign, it was going to cause that reaction in and of itself. And when she was trying to post the NPC post and everything, that was what's going to happen. And that's kind of what someone does when they have like a retaliatory belief. They want people to do that. She's saying don't do it. So maybe she, no longer wants to keep going back and forth with the situation. And she is now saying don't do it anymore. But either way, in summary, Chandler was wrong for putting his hands on her. It's clear in that video that he touched her. He should not have ever done that. And I hope that he learns from this to not put your hands on a woman. But on the other end, Miss Mia Hud needs to work on her mental health as well, because the things that she has done has shown toxicity, taking his property, taking his credit cards, impersonating him online, posting this humiliating video, partial video of not the full story on his page, basically tarnishing this man's career and his reputation after he's already been going through a lot of emotional trauma with losing his sister. And I'm pretty sure she knows, because she is in the pageant world. She is Miss Philippines USA. So she's in the pageant world. She's familiar with Cheslie Kryst, obviously. She knows what happened with Cheslie Kryst. Cheslie Kryst. And so she knows that Chandler's already going through a lot of emotional turmoil with his life right now. And now, she's adding this toxicity to his life. So I'm not taking sides. Both sides are wrong. We're coming down to summary. Both sides are wrong, but it's not wrong to tarnish someone's reputation. It's not right to tarnish someone's reputation and try to, mess up their opportunities if you know the full story. She knows fully what's going on with that relationship. So she knows why he reacted the way he did. She knows if she, whatever she had been doing that was violent in the house that caused this whole thing, and he just didn't want her near him. That's why he was telling her to back up, back away. All he wanted her to do was just back away from him, which didn't excuse him putting his hands on her to get her to back away. He could have backed up. He could have, went around her and, went into another place to wait for the police officers to come. So both of them could have done something. Someone put in the comments that, if she was trying to get her dogs or getting back into her apartment, she could have just called the police and waited for that, which is also very true. And there's also the toxicity part of this, that she kept his dog and she kept some of his belongings. So there's that issue. And she's keeping track and monitoring his social media. So there is some very unhealthy, obsessive type behavior going on there. I do pray that she gets whatever justice she is advocating for. But I pray that she moves on and just leaves this man alone and he leaves her alone and they just move on and live their best lives. But I wanted to give you guys an update. This probably should close the case out, but we'll see. Who knows? She probably will still post stuff. If she does, I'll update you guys. But in the meantime, you guys have a wonderful day and let me know what you think about this. Like, comment, and subscribe. Take care.